It is a familiar story for many of us who garden in raised beds. Each autumn, as the last of the summer crops are cleared away, we are faced with a rather sunken, sad-looking bed. The soil level has dropped, sometimes by a good few inches, and our first instinct is to fix it. We head to the garden centre or our own compost heap and begin the yearly ritual of topping it up. We heave bag after bag, or barrow after barrow, of lovely dark compost, filling the bed right back up to the brim, feeling a sense of accomplishment. It looks rich, it feels right, and we pat ourselves on the back for a job well done, ready for the next season. Yet this yearly top-up often becomes a cycle that never seems to end. The very next year, the same thing happens again. The level drops, and the soil, while dark, can sometimes feel a bit lifeless. You might even notice that your plants come midsummer seem to struggle a bit more than you would expect. They may wilt quickly on a hot day, even if the bed was watered, or they might not have the same robust vigour as plants grown in the open ground. This is because a bed filled purely with compost, year after year, is not quite the perfect home for our plants that we imagine it to be. It is missing a key ingredient, something more fundamental than just nutrients. Compost is a wonderful material, full of goodness, but it is essentially a very rich organic food. On its own, it is very light and fluffy. Over time, as the rain falls and the tiny organisms within it do their work, it naturally breaks down and compacts. This is why the level in your raised bed sinks so dramatically. It is like a sponge that slowly gets squeezed. Relying solely on compost is like trying to build a house with only cake. It is lovely stuff, but it lacks the strong framework needed to stand the test of time. Your garden soil needs more than just a feast. It needs a skeleton, a structure that will hold everything together. This constant sinking and topping up is not only a lot of hard work and expense, but it also creates an unstable environment for plant roots. When the soil structure is constantly changing and compacting, the delicate network of roots can become stressed. They need a stable, airy medium to explore, one that holds both moisture and oxygen in a perfect balance. A bed filled only with dense, decomposing compost can become waterlogged in heavy rain, or, conversely, dry out surprisingly fast on the surface. We can do better for our plants, and thankfully the solution is not more work, but less. It involves working with nature, not against it, to build a truly resilient and living soil from the ground up. To understand how to build a better raised bed, we must first understand what makes good soil. It is far more than just a collection of mineral particles and nutrients. Truly healthy soil is a bustling, living ecosystem. It is a complex web of life, teeming with billions of microscopic bacteria, fungi, and other organisms. The real magic, the secret to a stable and fertile garden, lies in this hidden world, and one of the most important players in this world is fungi. Specifically, the vast, thread-like networks they create, known as mycelium. These threads act like a natural glue, binding soil particles together to create a wonderful, crumbly structure. This structure is what we call tilth. When you pick up a handful of soil from a healthy woodland floor, you see it. It is light, airy, and holds its shape but crumbles easily. It is full of little pockets that hold air and water, providing the perfect environment for roots to thrive. This is what we want in our raised beds. Compost provides the food, but it does not provide this lasting structure on its own. To build that structure, we need to feed the fungi. And what do fungi love to eat more than anything? Carbon. Things like wood, cardboard, and dead leaves are rich in carbon. When we simply pile on more and more compost, we are providing a nutrient-rich diet, but we are starving the very organisms that build a stable home. We are missing the carbon part of the equation. Think of it as a balanced diet. We need our greens and proteins, but we also need our carbohydrates for energy. In the soil, the compost is the nutrient-rich protein, while the carbon-rich materials like cardboard and wood chip are the slow-release energy that fuels the fungal builders. By providing both, we invite nature's construction crew to move in and get to work. This biological process does more than just create a stable structure. The fungal networks are incredible couriers. They extend far beyond the reach of a plant's roots, foraging for water and micronutrients and delivering them back to the plant in exchange for sugars the plant produces through photosynthesis. It is a beautiful symbiotic relationship. By creating a habitat where these fungi can flourish, we are essentially outsourcing a huge amount of work. The soil begins to manage its own water, find its own nutrients, and build its own structure. Our job simply becomes to provide the right raw materials and let nature take its course. So, how do we put this knowledge into practice? The answer is a wonderfully simple method that I call the fall shortcut. It requires very little effort and uses materials that are often free. Instead of laboriously digging and filling your beds with bags of compost, you're going to layer them like a lasagna. The first and most important layer is plain brown cardboard. Remove any plastic tape and labels, then lay the cardboard flat on the surface of your sunken soil. If you have large gaps, you can overlap the pieces. This cardboard layer serves multiple purposes. It suppresses any persistent weeds, and more importantly, it is the main source of carbon for our fungal friends. Next, give the cardboard a good watering. Soaking it thoroughly is key, as this moisture activates the decomposition process and makes it easier for the soil life to move in. A dry barrier will not work. Once it is wet, you add your next layer, compost. But here is the crucial difference. You only need a thin layer, perhaps an inch or two at most. You're not trying to fill the bed. Instead, you're adding an inoculum, a starter pack of microbial life and nutrients right on top of the carbon food source. This thin layer provides the bacteria and fungi needed to kickstart the breakdown of the cardboard below. The final step is to add a generous top layer of mulch. This can be anything from wood chips or shredded leaves to straw or even spoiled hay. This mulch layer acts as a protective blanket. It keeps the cardboard and compost moist, regulates the temperature, and prevents weeds from sprouting in the compost layer. It also provides yet another source of slow-release carbon that will break down over time. And that is it. Your work is done. You have now created the perfect environment for soil organisms to thrive over the winter months. You can simply walk away and let the silent, tireless work of nature transform your bed. Over the winter, a remarkable transformation takes place beneath that layer of mulch. The moist cardboard becomes a paradise for fungi, which will rapidly colonize it, sending their mycelial threads down into the soil below and up into the compost above. Earthworms, drawn by the moisture and food, will tunnel up and down, pulling fragments of cardboard and compost deep into the bed, mixing everything for you. They are nature's ploughs, aerating the soil and creating channels for air and water. You have provided the ingredients, and now the cooks are busy in the kitchen, working all winter long to prepare a perfect bed for spring planting. Whenever I suggest using materials like cardboard and wood chips in the garden, a few common concerns always arise. The first is often about termites. People worry that bringing cardboard and wood into their garden will attract these destructive pests, which might then move on to their house. This is a very understandable fear, but in most gardening contexts it is unfounded. Termites are primarily interested in large, solid pieces of dry wood. The thin, damp layers of cardboard and mulch in a garden bed are not their preferred habitat. They break down far too quickly and are full of other fungi and bacteria that outcompete them. Keeping the garden bed away from the foundation of your home provides an extra layer of security. Another frequent question is about nitrogen tie-up. The theory goes that as microorganisms work to break down carbon-rich materials like cardboard and wood chips, they need nitrogen to fuel their activity. It is feared they will pull this nitrogen from the soil, robbing it from your plants and causing them to turn yellow and struggle. While this can happen if you dig large amounts of fresh wood chips directly into your root zone, our layering method avoids this problem entirely. We are placing the carbon on the surface, not mixing it in. The decomposition happens slowly from the top down, and the thin layer of compost on top provides all the immediate nitrogen the microbes need. To give your microbial workforce an extra boost, you can easily create your own liquid fertilizers at home. One of the simplest is a rice wash. When you rinse uncooked rice before cooking, do not pour that cloudy water down the drain. That water is full of starch and vitamins, a perfect food for beneficial bacteria. Simply collect it and pour it over your mulch-covered bed. Another fantastic option is a simple compost tea. Just take a spadeful of your best finished compost, place it in a porous bag like an old pillowcase, and steep it in a bucket of water for a day or two. This water becomes a rich soup of beneficial microbes, which you can then use to drench your new bed, supercharging the biological activity. These simple homemade boosters help to ensure that the decomposition process is driven by a diverse and healthy population of microorganisms. They tip the balance in favour of the beneficial organisms that build soil structure and fight off disease. By managing the process this way, layering on top and feeding the microbes, you sidestep the potential pitfalls. You are not creating a problem of nitrogen deficiency, you are building a long-term, self-sustaining system where nutrients are cycled naturally and efficiently, exactly as they are in a forest or meadow. It is a system that gets better and more resilient with each passing year. After a long winter of resting, the arrival of spring is always a moment of great anticipation for a gardener. When you approach the raised bed, you prepared with the fall shortcut, you will be in for a delightful surprise. The thick layer of mulch may have settled a bit, but it will still be there, protecting the soil's surface. Your first job is to gently pull back a small section of that mulch. Do not dig or turn it over. Just scrape it aside. The cardboard layer you laid down months ago will have all but vanished. In its place you will find something truly wonderful. What you reveal will not be dense, clumpy soil. Instead, it will be dark, rich, and incredibly crumbly. It will feel soft and full of air. You will likely see a web of fine white fungal threads still clinging to the remaining fragments of mulch. And, most excitingly, the soil will be teeming with earthworms. Their presence is the ultimate seal of approval, a clear sign that you have created a healthy, living environment. The soil structure they have helped to build will be stable and porous, ready to welcome the roots of your new spring plants without any further digging or tilling required. Planting into this new soil is a joy. You simply pull back the mulch where you want to place a plant, make a small hole with your trowel, and pop in your seedling. The soil will be so soft and friable that digging will be effortless. Once the plant is in, you can push the mulch back around its base. This mulch will continue to protect the soil, conserve moisture, and suppress weeds throughout the growing season, dramatically reducing your workload. You have created a no-dig bed that gets better on its own, freeing you from the annual cycle of heavy lifting and soil amendment. The long-term benefits of this approach are profound. Your raised bed will no longer sink dramatically each year. The stable, fungus-rich structure you have built is far more resilient than a bed of pure compost. It will hold water more effectively, reducing the need for constant watering during dry spells. Nutrient cycling will become more efficient, meaning you will need less fertilizer over time. You have stopped treating soil like a sterile medium that needs to be filled and have started treating it like a living partner in your gardening journey. So this autumn, I encourage you to put down the shovel, pick up some cardboard, and let biology do the heavy lifting for you.